Welcome to Blue Tinted Glasses, the home of Leicester City talk on YouTube. Fan debates, live watch-alongs, post-match reactions, and all the Foxes banter you could ask for. Subscribe now and see the game through Blue Tinted Glasses.
Well then, Mahrez has made something of that. It's Mahrez! 2-0 to Leicester City! Next to him, Anthony Knocker finds Wood. Wood should score! Wood finds Knocker! Yes! Here comes Leicester again with Heskey and Ibbett! Oh, this is incredible! Got Jamie Vardy with him. Jamie Vardy sets off. Jamie Vardy!
Blue Tinted Glasses, the home of Leicester City talk on YouTube.
It is Blue Tinted Glasses. It's Tuesday night and it's time for some tactical analysis. And what better way to do it without everyone's favourite Danish Leicester City supporting enthusiast? It's the one and only, the League of Legends caster full-time, Leicester City enthusiast part-time. Duck, quack, quack. Good evening to you. How are you tonight?
I'm doing good. The weather's lovely here in Denmark. I was out with family. I've been playing some golf recently after my granddad's 70th birthday. He took us golfing there. I got smacked, but, improved a bit today. You can see it in my face. I've enjoyed the sun. I enjoyed watching, the 4 hours of games we're about to be talking about. And Neil, you weren't there, so I'm very excited to discuss it with you, my personal tactical genius who I like to chat with about, the intricacies of football.
Thanks so much. Yeah, you did both match day lives, didn't you, on the Friday? That's a right soldier. So there you go. You can't say that Duck doesn't bleed for the cause. Interesting to hear you picking up golf. It's good sport. I'm not very good at it at all, but it's kind of fun. Anyway, let's say good evening to everyone. So evening to you, Kunal. Evening to you, Joe. Evening to anyone else that's joining. And let's talk about these. So there were two games, but I will give you some spoilers. We're going to talk predominantly about one game because I think it was against the higher quality opposition and I think it had a stronger team. But we will talk a little bit about the Ukrainian team that we played as well. So let's start. We're talking about Koln, however you want to say it. Now, something that I don't think people realize is that we were actually just talking about this off air, weren't we, Andreas? And you were saying that a lot of people were saying that, this is not a good team, but that's not right at all. So this team, they have just won Bundesliga 2. So they're going up to Bundesliga 1. So they're in a higher division than us. That's just a fact. And, just to give you some kind of context, this is how that division finished last year. You can see they
dominant.
Top. It was close, but they, that's a sign of a good team that, manages to get there over the line on a final day. Above Hamburg, there are some big teams like Hertha and stuff like that in this division. So they've done well. And, I don't know about you, Doug, but just before we get into the analysis, watching them play, were you impressed by Koln at all?
Yeah, I mean, you could sense that this was a well-coached side, right? Who had their setup planned very well. I think you could feel the bond between the players were there more. I know they've had some new signings. The Copenhagen talent, I believe, signed from Fortuna Düsseldorf, who's actually their rival. So that was a pretty controversial move when he moved. I thought he was brilliant there. Isak Bergman Johannesson and Sepp Olsson was also a brand new player. It's a team ripe with confidence from just winning the league. And you could feel like, I don't want to say they've been together longer because we hadn't sold a single player, but they had been together under the system for longer. And you could definitely feel that as they were able to really well adapt to our system, I'd say, especially in the first half before Marty got some changes done in the second.
Yeah, I was impressed by their coach. I could see they were pretty well organized. We're going to show you some examples of that in a moment. But I think just to put it into context, so I think fair enough, though. Some people were saying, well, but they haven't got the same squad quality as Leicester. And I think these stats do back that up. So you can see that our squad is just Premier League money, even though we're going to the Championship. That currently our squad is worth more than twice what they are. I mean, Ron Robert Zieler, who used to play for Leicester, turned up for them as a goalkeeper in the second half, which was pretty entertaining. People were like, oh my God, is it him? Schmeichel's understudy. But remember that we played 2 games in this day, and not all of our strongest players were in this team. We were missing El Canus and Didi, Mavadidi and Ricardo were out. So
Mads Hermansen, a big value player, Wout Faes as well, 15 million, Caleb Okoli as well. So like you could, if you compare the value of the starting 11, I think it wouldn't be too much.
Yeah, probably about evens. But I would say that they comprehensively outplayed us. So that's why I think people have got a bit of fear, which I think is fair enough. So, just before we get into it, I'm going to keep you saying this every week, but what is Marty Ball? Because we see this all the way through. It's compact play down one side. It's attacking as a unit, extensive rotations, overload the half spaces by committing extra men forwards and trying to be proactive, one-touch attacking football. And it can be exciting to watch, but it carries risks. And I think that last line might be something we saw a little bit of it in this particular game we'll get to in a minute. Now, as for the lineup, we just talked about it, and I've had to use a different lineup tool. That's just because how many youngsters are in the teams. You can see we've got 3 invisible people in here. But for me, that's, it's good and bad. So
That's nice.
Yeah, I'll give you the good, I suppose. You've got Monga, you've got Lewis Page, and you've got Olubade Aluko all in the team, which is great to see. Plus, you've got Kamakatis. That's a lot of academy graduates, Stolarczyk as well. But I think a lot of people did look at this team and they kind of grimaced a bit. So what did you make of that lineup? I mean, in particular, you've got probably 4 people that maybe people aren't the biggest fans of, shall we say.
I'm not completely blown away. I think the centre-back pairing in particular was my biggest issue. Skip is someone who I feel like it's fair to give him those minutes because I wanted to see if he could cut it right. I've been saying for a long time, I'm not sure he'd be perfect in the championship, but I need him to be because he's right. Like with that price tag, you have to be a good championship player. I don't think this game gave me any confidence in that, but we will see. Very excited about the youngsters. I think those were 3 of the guys who also, to me, stepped up and really showed their worth. I think I, as a striker as well, is not a bad option, to be honest, if we won't be able to get anyone in at the current moment. At the very least, he's the one I want starting when the championship starts, unless we got new signings. So yeah, weak and strong players we have in the squad, I'd rather see starting, but it was clear they were in the available assets game that we saw earlier on the day. But yeah, go on, Anil.
No, absolutely. Well, what I was going to say, so that's, how we line up as a 4-3-3. But actually, when we're in possession, you can see that we move something a little bit to this. And there are some interesting things to keep an eye on already. So I think the most notable thing I've seen is that Skip is definitely the one that's dropping in to be part of the back 3. And we're going to have a look at that because that's something that I will be honest with you, I think worries me a little bit. We will see that sometimes Winks lines up next to him. But you would have thought if this was last year, 2 years ago under Enzo, it probably would have been Winks dropping in here to be the regista. So that's something to definitely keep an eye on. But we can see, you can see that Page is the one that was sort of having license to move up. Winks was sort of like the sort of shuttling in between defense and attack. But you can see that the fullbacks really push up towards the side when we're in possession to try and give an extra threat. And do keep an eye on in a lot of this footage the positions that Justin and Aluko take up, because I think that's the unique thing that Marty will bring to us that is a bit different to some of the stuff we saw under Enzo. Seeing some of the comments here, and we'll get to that in just a moment. So yeah, here we can see the attacking shape, and this is exactly what I'm talking about. So you can see that actually here, Wings is pushing up here. He's almost in line with Lewis Page. And you can see you've got the 2 centre-backs, but you can see the full-backs, how high they've pushed. It's quite similar to the ways that Spain sort of played in the Euros. And you've got one regista there, which is Oliver Skip. But as I mentioned to you with sort of, Marty Cifuentes style compared to Maresca, this is Maresca, you'd have 2 players next to one another and you try to create this sort of 4-man box. But here you can see it's all about the triangles. So every time you've got a pass, you've got 2 options always in the diagonal. So that's something to keep an eye on. And there's pros and cons to that, which we'll come to have a look at it. But that's, I think, the unique difference that you need to get on your head around when looking at Marty Cifuentes and the way that he's going to line us up. We also mentioned that his sort of style, from that kind of classic Barca style with Cruyff, that those fullbacks will invert at times when they're more in a build-up. And so you can see here when we're building out from the back, you can see a little bit more of a slightly different shape. And you can see here, we're going to show it a bit more later on as well, but this will be the time where Winks might drop in a little bit deeper to give another option. So of the 2 midfielders, you've got one that's sort of more of that kind of Yuri Tillemans sort of vibe of being more between the sort of 6 and an 8. And Lewis Page is more of that Maddison type, right, which is more between an 8 and a 10. So I think that's your way to get around it. And what players will be better in those positions? Well, I'll ask you about that later, but that's something to definitely keep a note of. And of course, we've got number 66, the legend himself, Jeremy Monga. And don't you worry, there will be a lot of Monga glazing on tonight's show. And yeah, here you can see as well, though, that sometimes, though, when we would build up, that Winks would actually drop in next to Skip. So now this is more like what you'd see under Enzo, right? You'd have this kind of box here, but you've got both the fullbacks pushing really, really wide, and that gives you a lot of options to pass out. But in this case, I think something that was kind of sort of different, which we might not see under Enzo so much, but you can see that the ball went back to Stolarczyk, and Stolarczyk this time decided to play it long. So you can see because this sort of team decided to push up and press, it created space in behind. Now, I think what was interesting about this game, and I'm not so sure we will see this so much in the Championship, other than maybe Ipswich and sort of Southampton and sort of top 6 or 7 teams. But Koln, clearly being a Bundesliga team, they were willing to press, and they were also very good on transition. These are sort of two things that you're going to get in any German team. And so that caused us a different set of problems to any other team that we played in pre-season so far. But when you press up, it means there is going to be space behind, and that means you can go long. Now, the issue is that if you do go long, and this is why Enzo didn't like it, is that you can often just give the ball away immediately. And what happened here is went straight into midfield, and Kern did win the ball back. But we actually did manage to get the ball back off another sort of press. So the game was a bit more end-to-end, a bit more kind of 90s style, and it had sort of certain pros and cons. So I'm just going to play us our first clip here and show you here. So this is Larchek. He kicks it long, wins the ball there, Kern in midfield. But there you go. Still fair enough. He wins the ball back.
Page.
You see, we managed to win the ball back.
Wins it back well.
You mentioned already.
Ayew sweeps it out to this left-hand side now for Monga. One-on-one with his fullback. Plays a lovely ball in for Casey McAteer. Gets the right side of the defender. There's James Justin.
So that didn't quite work out, but I want to sort of show you that move because that showed you a lot of the sort of play that we could get used to sort of seeing this season with Marty. And, something that Locks was asking me, and I think you guys might have been discussing this on the show, is that were you worried about the chance creation in terms of this game? And so I'll ask that up front, Dark, and then I'll tell you what I think.
I was worried about if you mean the chance creation they made or for us. For us. I think I was a bit worried at times. I feel like we have skillful enough wingers to beat their man. The problem is that felt very much like that was the main option. I like the attacking into the half space. It's clear that's not completely nailed down yet, though. And I do like that support. I think, in particular, the movement and the pattern still need some learning. Once they were ticking, we had a few ones where there was one chance in particular where I thought we played brilliantly out of the press. And that's when Monga got the ball and they got to Justin and he got a brilliant shot off as well. That was a great save from their keeper. That was one of those where you could feel like this was a Marty Cifuentes system chance created. It didn't worry me too much, to be honest. I think maybe people are overreacting a bit. I feel like there were definitely issues in it. And there was space for improvement, but I saw enough ideas of how you can create the chances that I felt optimistic. I feel something like this we didn't talk much about. The chance you just showed, it is risky kicking it long, but the intensity in the press just needs to be there to win the second ball. And we had the eagerness here, right? And that's something that I really like because we win the ball back. We make a mistake in the pass from Lewis Page. What do? They immediately win it back again, and we still end up creating half a chance. I thought Koln defended very well. You could see it when we played it into the half space. They were very clearly aware of that. So it's not perfect yet, but I like the intensity, and it's something that I feel like we can get behind, even if it doesn't work flawlessly or all the time.
Absolutely. Well, yeah, I agree with you, and I think just put it here as well. I don't think you really have to worry, as it's only Marty's first full week in charge, and I would agree. So I'm not too concerned. I think what I'm seeing here, and I'm comparing this to Steve Cooper, is I can see how this system is supposed to work. I can see both the benefits and the kind of negatives about it, but I can see, especially for the championship, what it's going to create for us. And when you're working with a system, you got to remember that Marty was appointed a lot later than Enzo. So it's going to take the team a lot longer to understand the movement, the rotations, and the patterns. But you're seeing it, and you're seeing it every game. So what will happen is it's just a matter of time before that starts to click. And then I think we are going to start scoring a lot of goals. So that move, I'm not going to show it again, but you can see the movement already. You mentioned Jordan Ayew already. I know a lot of you are giving him pelters, but as a false nine, he is doing his job here. So he's dropped in deep. He receives the ball. He turns. He plays the ball out, and it puts us on the attack. And now you can see, look, compared to Steve Cooper, we're attacking with a lot more men forwards. You can see that Casey McAteer started off on the right-hand wing, but he's moved in now to be in the striker position. Ayew's moved into that number 8 position. And you've got James Justin. He's attacking, and he's really trying to join the attack. And this is the free-man concept that we're going to see a lot of Marty's sort of tactics. I will say already, though, and this is something that I was pretty disappointed in this game, but Harry Winks and his body language, he did not fancy this game. I've got to say, he was pulling out of a lot of challenges as well, but we'll show you some of that stuff later. But you can see Monga's on the ball. And again, we're attacking with 5 men here. We've got a 6-man here extra that's there to cover in case we turn the ball over. And you can see that McAteer is going to make the run into the half space. But you've also got Justin here, and you've got Ayew, and you could even maybe try and dink it to the far post for Lewis Page. So in the end, Monga plays the ball as a bit of a heavy touch. So Makasir can't get there and play the first time cross. But again, if you can see that, and that's 1 minute 53 into the game, it makes me think I'm not worried. I can see the chances. We create this sort of chance multiple times. I'm going to show you the other game a little bit later. And you'll see we even create the same chance with the other team. So you can see that they are working on it in training. So I would expect us to hit sort of full speed maybe by the time we hit November, December. And I'm pretty excited for what we will see. However,
just shortly, I'm very happy with what you said there, both in terms of the eye. I think he's getting a few too many pelters for what I think has been a great preseason from him, where I really respect his work rate. But yeah, I feel like you were just spot on everything you said. I just want to say, I like it. I agree.
Well, please challenge me if you disagree, and same with chat, but I try and be objective and see what we can do. So that did look good, but we did concede 2 goals and we conceded 1 pretty early. We're going to take a look at that. And, I've got kind of a question. I'll tell you what, I'll show it to you first. So this is what happened. Koln got the goal kick.
Here's Schwaber, the goalkeeper.
So you see they're pretty comfortable themselves playing it around the press.
Kaminsky.
Nice
Lovely
play there.
Kaminsky gets away on this left-hand side. Aluko tracking back. The ball in from Kaminsky is a good one. There's a chance. And there's the first goal.
What is a good goal, man? It's a really good goal.
And it's Jan that is...
I want to give credit to them there as well. Sepsi Valonsen, the new signing from Danish Brøndby, actually, the one getting the goal, right back in the region. I think the big thing for me is they managed to play out of the press. I'm very happy to see this press and this intensity, but it's clear that there is still work to be done, right? You can see they do kind of get fooled when it comes into a really tight space and the combination comes through, which is, just good play from them, where we don't really know how do we press, who takes what man, and it's those small things that will be the issue for now, right? I thought they played out well. I like Jordan Ayew taking the lead there, but the defense lacking so much pace. The 2 center backs, that's the big issue I have with that, because they seem uncoordinated despite having worked together in a team for 2 years now. They are way too slow and they didn't look fast. But I like, up until actually they get past Betty Aluko, I like the intensity of the press. I like that idea. I want to see more of this. We just need to be better at it. And then when the defending comes, when, we're at the piss poor defending part, you're saying, I'm not happy with the 2 players we've selected. I'd rather have seen Caleb Okoli and Ben Nelson try and deal with this situation, because I think they would have done better.
Yeah, Ben Nelson did come on in the second half. Josh here says, I just don't think Skip is good enough to play in a system. We need a strong midfielder to play alongside wings, in my opinion. I tell you what, Josh, please come back to me near the end of the show, because we've got a special segment on Skip. I don't think that's an unfair comment for you to make, but I want to show both the pros and cons. But just there in that move, it was noticeable, if you ask me, that I felt, wouldn't say he pulled out of the challenge, but he didn't go into it full-blooded. And so he's been turned, and that's put us on the back foot. And that's the thing in these sort of moments. And when you train these rondos, is that you're supposed to tackle with quite high intensity. It's like in Football Manager when you turn the pressing onto high, right? It's like you might get a few more cards, but the point is that you got to be looking to win the ball back, not just kind of be a bit sort of sugarcoat it. But here you can see, although they've got that man slight, spare on the side, we're actually quite well set up, right? It's 5 against 3. So what really annoys me and why I've put piss poor defending is here's the ball that goes through. And look, you are my favourite Dane, Andreas. You've got to tell me, this lamppost here, what is it doing? It
was horrible. I think maybe he thinks they're trying to make sure they play him on. I think he's thinking we're going for an offside trap here or something. What Marty said to them, I don't know, but they're very clearly not coordinating this situation, and it is very disappointing because, I feel like that's a brilliant ball through, well played pass, and a well taken chance. But come on, man, you got to do better there. You've got to do better.
Yeah, see, I feel his positioning is actually okay, and I feel I wish I had legs that long and something else that was that long as well, to be honest with you. With that sort of legs, I feel he doesn't even make an effort, whereas that's Ndidi, he'd be, getting on the floor, trying to put something in. So disappointing. The ball goes through. As you say, it is a really good finish. First time, it's a slick move. They also built it out from the back. Rich has put it out here. It's like holding the door open for someone. He's just standing there watching. That's exactly my point. And look, it is pre-season, right? So you are going to expect to see mistakes. I'm not going to be like too condescending here, but it's, it's a lack of effort, what I think,
Yeah.
And Josh says, don't think defense knew what to do, and their pace really lets them down.
And just to quickly add on that, right? I feel like this game really exposed us as well. When you have these young players, And the veterans as well, who we have talked about, we want to offload. You can clearly see who the fuck cared, man. Who wanted to be there, and that's why I'm giving Jordan Ayew so much credit, because you could see he was diligently like, okay, Lewis Page, you press here, I move to this man, trying to implement what Marty wanted. Yes, it didn't work, but I saw someone who cared despite only having 1 year left on his deal. But when you've talked about wings earlier, Vestergaard here, they just don't care. They just don't mind. Like, guys, this infuriates me so much that it aren't asked, especially when they're surrounded by 4 or 5 players, 6 even, who quite clearly want to stamp their mark on this team and want to play a big role next season. And it does infuriate me to see those who don't care let the rest down.
Yeah, I got to say, that is peak Van Nistelrooy there as well. Like, especially in his early games, you would cut to him on the sideline and he'd literally be like, what the beep? Because he's looking at it in the stop camera after the goal and he's like, they're all positioned correctly, but it's like, I can't tell the player to just do their job at that point in time. And we'll cover Conor Cody in a moment because he also had a poor moment too. But okay, that's in terms of defending, but kind of moving back now in terms of building attack. And you mentioned this before. So going to show you quite a lengthy sequence here. It doesn't even amount to that much, but I think it's worth seeing. So, understanding how we're actually going to be playing the ball, how we're going to try and get round our positions. You can see here that actually he's played into Skip and Skip has turned his man. That puts us on the attack. Now, that's a good line breaking pass. Ayew there into Aluko on the attack of McAteer.
McAteer now for...
So it's good play so far. But Kern managed to get back into positions. That's fair enough. So now we're going to go down the other side, which is fair enough. Okay, so now we're going to go there. It's going to be Justin. Got the special man here is about to be on the ball.
One way, then the other. Accelerates.
4 men around him there. For a
Jesus
16-year-old. Makes me laugh. And we're going to go back the other way.
Page dropping deep.
Lewis Page. And what I like about Lewis Page, look at his fluidity, right? As well as Barry and Luko. Like, look at where they are positioned right now compared to their positions. I really like that fluidity, and I think they could benefit from the system.
Good point there about JJ being sucked in. That is going to happen. But we'll look at it in a little minute. I think Vesti's definitely at fault there. But I know what you mean. It's like if you feel you have to cover for another player, does it make your defense worse? We saw that last year. But here's Vesti on the ball here. Playing the ball out. Unfortunately, gives it away there. He didn't have a great game, in my opinion. Got to say.
No, he had a horrible game.
Yeah.
But look at both Page and Betty Luca, right? They're sprinting back to cover the position that it will obviously open up space with how you want your fullbacks to play, and that's part of the risks. And we need someone who's willing to make those very tough runs back to try and make up for it when we then lose it on one of these mistakes.
Yeah. So I'm going to cut it there, but that was interesting.
Can I make a quick comment?
Yeah, please.
Before you get onto it. The big one I have was Vestergaard. You could really feel he was in so schooled. The wait for the press. That's not what Martin Cifuentes essentially wants. He wants this 1-2 play quickly, right? We've squeezed the pitch on one side. They've gone 4 members on Monga. We now want to go to that right-hand side. 3 passes maximum, 2 passes maximum, right? But you can see, slow down, play on the useless pass, stamp on the ball, just like how Enzo would have wanted, which is great in Enzo's system. But we're playing under Martin's where we want to get to that left-hand side when we've just made them go to the right-hand side within 2 passes. I don't want you to put your stamp on the ball and wait 5 more seconds, allow them to get back into shape. We want to try and catch them on I don't want to call it a semi-transition, but we want the intensity. We want that quick ball through. And that really annoyed me because, and I don't fault him fully for this because I understand why that's so wired into his brain from playing so much under Enzo. This was what he had to do every time. And that will take some adjusting. But you could really feel it here that this wasn't Marty. That was some Enzo ball still, around Vestergaard, and particularly with how slow he was at switching the play to the side where we wanted quick.
Yeah. I will say, because he's been doing it quite a lot through the games, though, that I don't think we're going to see like a complete abandonment of it, because I'm going to show you a few clips here. So I agree for what it's worth. I definitely agree with you. I think he does it too much. And you saw he even gave the ball away there. And he's not the only one that does it. But I will say that, you can't just attack for 90 minutes. There is an element of you having to make the space when it's not there. So I've got a few examples of that. And one of them does lead to the move that, you mentioned earlier, which is probably the move of the match, even though we didn't score from it. So we've got Yannick on the ball here. We've got Skip, and Skip is in the middle of the 3, which he's doing. He's trying to make himself some space. And you can see that actually Yannick does play the ball to him, and Skip gets it, and he gets it on the half turn. And that turn that he manages to do, that is actually key to starting the attack, because now that he's facing this way, we've taken some of their players out of the game, and he's now plays the ball through there to Ayew, who played it on. Now, that's obviously not the most exciting moment, but this leads to this moment, which I'm going to show you. And this one was pretty good. So you go, ball from Slarchuk into Skip, turns,
Beating the press, Leicester, now with wings. Here's Ayew again. That's Justin to his left. That's who he finds. Cody.
Now we've got the switch of
Early
play.
for Ayew, that was
And almost. That was a ball over the top. We're starting to get a bit more exciting. You can see the idea of what we're trying to do is make the space when it's not there.
I like the fact that we're switching the ideas, right? It doesn't have to be always play through the press, play through the lines. The fact that we can also go long, I think it will catch teams off guard where we were a bit more one-dimensional in the end. So we were just so good at it, we could get away with it, right, in the championship. Where here, if they press high, well, all of a sudden, well, we don't want to play a 3-year press right now. We'll play that long ball, and Jordan Ayew, Patson Daka, the new striker, will just slot it home, 1v1. And I really like that.
Yeah, so there's the example again. Let's say we're playing out the press. We're trying to spread the forwards. Again, look how high up they are as a team, right? We won't, I think against Sheffield Wednesday, first game of the season, we won't see this happen, right? We won't see it happen against Charlton. But there will be some teams that try to do it. And so, yeah, they see he played through the press, played into skip, he turns, and you can see now how much space he's got. He's got 2 free men, and that allowed us to start the attack, which is really good. And so finally, here is a really good example of playing through the press. So this is actually, yeah, see, there he is stamping on the ball.
Skip.
That's the turn.
Away from 3 of the forward presses from Cologne. Looks for Aluko. What a run that is from the right back. And he finds Jeremy Mongo.
See where Aluko's found the space there, pushing right up.
Again for Aluko.
Yeah, this is right into Justin, right?
Decides to pass on again for Mongo. Justin.
That's the other fullback.
Justin, what a terrific save.
What a great effort.
Nice run as well. Unnoticed.
Like it was
The synergy there for like 10 days of math is really good because Ayew has a key part in this chance as well without touching the ball. The fact that he runs so deep to say, I want the ball, completely baiting them out, means a man will follow him, the space will open up, and I believe it's Badia Aluko who takes advantage of it and then touches through the ball.
Starting position. That's where Aluko is starting. That's where JJ is starting. So
but notice it here as well. I think it's such a key thing that people underrate. It takes a bit of brain to do this in a match as a footballer, especially when you're a striker, because that's not your instinct to drop this deep. But it means we create that chance.
Aluko, nice touch away from the midfielder, Louis Page.
Let's see it again, maybe. We can see
very cultured left foot to him.
Yeah, see, so that's already come from another phase of attack as well. So that's what's kind of interesting about it, seeing the more kind of intricacies. Yeah, made the space now skip concern. Right.
Take a look at Aluko and Ayew here, the 2 big movers.
Yeah, look at Aluko already. So yeah, see, they've rotated position. Great ball there from Aluko. And you see, I feel like if Mongo knew that was going to come, he would have driven onto that rather than checked back.
Decides to pass on.
How good is that? That's 2 of our kids combining.
Edge of the box. Curls one, James Justin. What a terrific.
That's why, we've been talking so much about Mongo, but I think Badia Aluko has a part to play this season. Can play on the right, can play on the left, has the pace. Like to make that intelligent of a run at what he's 18 from right back, not your main position, in a brand new system 10 days in. That shows footballing IQ as well, which is a good start. Other fact that he's fast, hard-working, and looks decent technically. I really like the look of that kid.
Yeah. Question here from Buzz. Great question from you, Buzz. Would you say Brendan Rodgers played a similar type of system? If you remember Brendan Rodgers' first full season in charge, where we almost got to the Champions League and COVID struck, yeah, that's more of what we played. So under Brendan, we did also play a kind of 4-3-3, or people called it a 4-1-4-1. But then you had like a single pivot, which was Ndidi, and Tielemans and Maddison both pushed up really, really high. Now, what happened towards the end of that season is we got figured out. And people figured out that with just one pivot in the Premier League, if you target that player, in this case it was Ndidi, you can cause a lot of problems. So in his second season, what Brendan did is he dropped the position of Tielemans and Ndidi played closer together to give him a bit more protection. But we're playing more like Brendan's first season, yes. And I think, funnily enough, that's why if we did get to the Premier League, we would probably have to make some adjustments. But we'll talk about that if and when we get to it. Now let's get to, okay, so we've shown a really good move, right? But Koln did score another one. And we mentioned here that one of the big problems is transition. Now, of course, this guy, Jamie Vardy and Leicester, we were one of the best transition teams in Europe, in England, at one point in time by having 2 sort of deadly players on the break. But we have to say that, we've mentioned this the whole time, that I feel that we just shown the good side of Marty, creating those really exciting moves. That's 2 fullbacks getting involved in that attack, by the way. Aluko and Justin were both in the box. They're both fullbacks starting positions, right? But what happens if things go wrong? So here's a throw-in for Koln in just the 10th minute of the game. And I've got a question for you, Doug. You know that I love to give you these sort of tests on air. So if you're in this position as Kern and you've got the ball here, where is the vulnerable position for Leicester? I know I've got QPR here, but it's a good example for it.
I mean, it's down the left, right? Get caught on transition. I could run in on the left-hand side from a pacey winger, and all of a sudden, let's just say we play Vestergaard and Vestergaard and Cody, then they have to deal with that. Imagine them tracking back, even from their defensive positions to deal with that. Oof, we'd be in all sorts of trouble.
It's an A+ for Duck on his exam papers in the tactical school, I can tell you that much. Exactly. Now, that's a kind of, that's the chance that you're taking here, right? Because it's not easy to make a ball and get that there. But if you can, and you got the right players, it is going to cause problems. And so we're going to see that's exactly what happens. It's not first time. So again, you've got to give Kern a little bit of credit here. So that they're playing out from the back here. They're being pressed in.
Right wing back position.
But they do manage to navigate it around. And look at that. He knows first time, really quick, plays the ball through to their winger. First time cross.
What a save.
Incredible save there. That could easily have been a goal. So that's a good move from them. But again, kind of coming to the problems and what we need to do better here. So here you can see that they've played that ball first time over the top, right? But you can see we're still 4 against 2 here. Justin didn't do too bad a job in terms of holding him up. But you can see now when the cross gets played here, see this now we're talking about Cody. And he's been beaten to the ball there. And this again is disappointing because he's only got one place he can put it there, that winger. And he's put it there. And you can see here that in terms of like, if you're looking at this from a managerial perspective or coaching, you've got 5 against 1 player, right? In terms of positioning, and even if the ball was somehow to get to him, there's 2 people, blocking the lane. So it's on this defender. You've got to try and at least, at worst, if you can't make the header, you've got to try and shoulder and really push him out the way, which I suppose he tries to do, Cody. But again, that's pretty poor. So it's a little bit slow. And again, we've been talking about that. I think if that's Ben Nelson, we'd probably feel a bit better. If that's the Coley, the pace, he might be able to get back quick. So, that does make you a little bit alarmed, especially as Köln. Will there be any teams in the championship as good as this team? There could be 1 or 2. That's the problem, right? There could be 1 or 2 teams that are as good as this team in that particular league. And I wanted to ask, is that a weakness? So here again, you can see a sort of similar one. This is actually their second goal. So again, similar to Cifuentes, you can see that we're packing this side of the pitch. That's very deliberate. So we're saying, okay, you've got an option. That option is to play it to the other side. And let's see what happens. Because he was pretty well set up here.
Pakarada inside.
Because here, they know the ball is free, which they do play here. Still were pretty well set up.
Schmeid.
Now that's a nice move.
Chance on the half turn and a terrific goal. Gianluca Waldschmidt.
So that is a good move there. We're going to go through that in kind of slow-mo. But it is sort of showing you, if you're the opposition, what you think you can do to try and target this Leicester team. So there we saw the ball across, and we're still pretty well set up. I would say that you can see a difference here between last season. Last season, that would be like a compact 4-4-2. You'd probably have 4 men across here already. So here it's a little bit looser, I would say. But you can see here that Köln play it back in, but now you can see the sort of problem here. And now can you see, because Justin's sort of free and you've got another player pushing up, you can sort of see part of the weakness in that system. And the system is that if that was a compact 4-4-2, you would actually have someone on this man. But fair play to Köln. They've identified that. They've got the man who's staying there deliberately in that space. They played the ball back there. So, this is deliberate kind of, you get pressing triggers, but you can suck a team in with a pressing trigger, right? To make the space in behind. That's what Enzo was all about. So they've done that, and it's all first-time football. So you've got to give him a lot of credit. The ball now goes through to here, finds this man now who is completely free, and he gets it. And fair play to him that the first time round, and that is a good finish. And this time round, I'm not really going to put too much blame on him. Okay, Vestergaard is there, but it's a good finish. It goes right into the corner. The keeper can't really kind of see it too well. Maybe you could do a bit better, but
he gets too much time. I think either Manga, Winks, Skip, or Justin, or Vestergaard, one of those should be closing them down. I think ideally Justin, because you can see from the screenshot before, it's Manga and Winks who are pressing up, so they have to turn around, and that adds a few more seconds, right? So you would ideally see James Justin try and close the gap there.
Yes, it's interesting. So some of you guys, as the lazy defender, they had time to get across, perhaps. But I think if I was to look at this, I think that this is where we've been got, that they've engineered this opening. And so if I started to see a lot of teams playing this way against us, then I'll adjust my defense so that there isn't so many gaps here. And I'd either tell this guy not to push up or tell Justin not to follow his man out. But you can see here, he has deliberately followed this man. And that's what's made the gap in here. So it's a clever kind of movement. So it is tricky. That's why I think it's a defensive weakness or like a structural weakness. Let's see again. No one within 5 yards of him. Not when he first gets the ball here. That's true. So you're saying here, could we close him down quicker? Perhaps that's true. That's maybe fair enough. But yeah, I think this is the crux of the problem. Massive problem is if you have slow centre backs or centre bikes, as we put it here, get on your bike, Vestergaard. This is what a lot of people would like them to do. Then in the system, they can be easily exposed. Cody and Yannick cannot play together in this system. They're far too easy to play through. We saw that all throughout this game. And I was going to say that surely Justin should have been closer to Vestergaard. Yes, and he got kind of lured out. So it's a little bit kind of tough. And yeah, Winks was in awful position in that move. Was it due to his position? Partly, but as Richard, I was saying, if you look at Winks throughout this match, he was pulling out of a lot of challenges and not making a lot of effort. And to be honest with you, if I was the manager, I would speak to him afterwards and I'd be like, dude, what's going on? Do you want to be here or not? Because if you don't, I would be putting someone in that position because it's not like he didn't have the quality. Like, we'll show you some stuff with Skip. He made some mistakes, obviously, for the penalty, but he was trying and he was doing both good and bad. Whereas I felt like Winks was just like, it's like he didn't want to try at all, which I think is quite, depressing. But let's move on. So that's the defensive frailties, but we do know that one aspect we're going to see under Martin, we've seen it already, you've already mentioned it a few times in the show already, Doug, is the pressing. It's trying to win the ball back. So we're playing against a German team. They're obviously the real sort of, Jurgen Klopp with this amazing team made Gegen pressing a thing back in the 2010s. And this led to our goal. And let's take a look at it here. A good example here. So you can see that actually it's their throw-in, again, Koln. It's nearly half-time.
You can see the players are a bit tired at that point. Like, they don't initially know when to commit. I'm excited to watch this back, actually, and see who initiates this press. Are you, Monka, both doing well there? Are you very much pushing up? McAteer then follows. And the mistake comes when Ayew presses the keeper. And Monka obviously quick to pounce. Yeah.
To the loose ball. Lays it back for Louis Page. Shot block.
What a shot as well.
What a finish.
What I will just say on this as well, this isn't even perfect pressing. Like, you can see there are still a lot more to be done on that. But when a press works, it can really lead to big chances like this. And, even if it isn't the best press in the world, Ayew's work rate there is a very big part of why we got that goal. And then obviously, Monka could.
Do you know what I don't understand is watch this Monka. First time, bro. Just pumped that into the back of the net. I was shocked he didn't do that. Surprised that someone with his confidence didn't do it. It's a good goal. But I think you're being a bit unfair there. Like, I keep mentioning this, but I mean, yeah, firstly, it is Ayew leading the press there. There's no two ways about it. You say it's not the best press, but I mean, the thing with pressing is if you go too much, you also make yourself vulnerable. So you have to do it in a certain way. We have won the ball back there. Casey McAteer is the one that I think. I think that Marcy will find the place somewhere for Casey McAteer, because I've mentioned this so many times on the show over the year that Casey McAteer, if you're a coach, you would love to work with him, and the reason why you'd love to work with him is because he just presses so much. And his off-the-board work, I would honestly go as far as saying, is elite. And Enzo said the same thing. So, it's something there here. From Patrick says, Leicester scored against Brighton 2-2 through gegenpressing. It's a shame we didn't see more of that afterwards. Totally agree with you, but we're going to see that this season. And yeah, exactly what Torben's saying. You've got to press as a team and not as individuals. But we are pressing as a team, and that is something that's good to see. So I wanted to show you some interesting things. I did mention that could there be a different role for McAteer? So 65 minutes, we did make some substitutions. Fatawu came on, which I think we were all pleased to see. And Nelson came on for Vestergaard, which I think we were also pleased to see. So Ben Nelson actually played both games. So fair play to him. That was good. And so after we made that change, that meant that we had Monga, McAteer, and Fatawu all on the pitch at the same time. And I was interested to see where we were going to play. So I stopped this moment. And here you got to see, because it's second half, we're shooting now left to right. And you can see that Casey McAteer is the furthest player forward. So he was playing as a number 9 there. And you can see a little bit later on as well, though, that then we brought on Silko Thomas. And you can see here that now Jordan Ayew was playing as the 10 and McAteer went out to the left-hand side. Monga, you can see there's just actually going off the pitch. So Casey McAteer in this match played as a right winger. He played as a striker. He played as a left winger. He didn't play as a 10, though, which is interesting. They decided to play Ayew there instead. So what do you make of that, Duck? Because I think everyone knows that first team, you're going to play Fatawu there.
Yeah.
Right? I don't think that's even up for debate. But Fatawu's just come back with a UCL, ACL.
I think they'll split some minutes there. What I will say is I won't read too much into it. It's a preseason game. We don't really have an out-and-out striker outside of Daka, who none of us are really too impressed by. So it's understandable, in my opinion, why you try the different options, right? You've got 50 minutes to go. Give Casey 10 minutes in the front. Give Silko Thomas 10 minutes. See if you feel like there is something there you can give another chance. Like, wouldn't surprise me as well against Fiorentina. Maybe we see a bit of that again later on in the game. So won't read too much into it. But it is interesting to see these changes and if they will lead to anything as the season starts.
Yeah. See, I think that even at worst, right, if you play Casey for 45, 60 minutes, his off-the-ball work and tirelessness will tire the other team down so much that then when you put on a Monga or Fatawu, if they're not already on the pitch, that they're going to destroy the opposition because they're now so scared of him. Or you can see out a game. But I think he might well start as well. So keep an eye on him because Casey Makatir has scored 2 goals already in pre-season. So the top scorers this season are Makatir, Ayew, and Daka. That's just a fact. So moving on, I
do love Makatir. I do like the guy. So I hope he does well.
So just to show you, though, Fatawu was kind of back to his best, which is what you wanted to see. Well, not quite his best because he didn't score, but you can see, I don't know about you, Doug, but what I want to see, this is good stuff, right? Out to the wing, first time. Oh, look at that.
Quite rashing on him.
Beats his man.
To get around him and wins himself a corner.
And it's a corner.
Now,
so
I love this. Just quickly, I mean, for me as well, you're coming back from an ACL injury. You could have really lost your skill. But more importantly, the will to play football, the love for football is just there. The will to take on your man. I want to go there. I want to beat him. On your, or not your first game back, but you've played 30 minutes of football up until this point in 8 months, and you're still able to do these tricks, to have that burst of pace, to have that confidence, and like he's a joy to watch when he plays football. And I'm positive that he will be back to his best. Maybe not right at the start, but give him a few months. He definitely doesn't seem to have lost it after the ACL.
I was going to say, so far what we've seen of Patel is he's still beating his men pretty easy. And like when he was in the championship last time round, he had like elite stats. He was one of the best players in Europe at beating his man. So yeah, first touch as well from Patel was awesome to see. So I've been talking about this a few times, right? So we've been saying this a lot, right? So I just don't think Skip is good enough to play in his system. We need a strong midfielder to play alongside wings. So there was good and bad from Skip. We've shown some of the good stuff already. There will be another good moment, but he did obviously give away the penalty. So we're going to show you that. And, I'll ask you what you kind of think about it, because it's one of those where, Manny has obviously been on the show a lot and he's the big detractor from Skip. And I don't think you can say that he's wrong, certainly not in the Premier League. So the question is he going to cut it at championship level? So again, you can see here, he's dropping there. He's at the base of the spine again as the regista. When we saw him turn and get the ball, he was pretty good. He was finding some good passes. He was able to cut it through the lines. But you do sort of see he's not the most mobile. He's not the fastest. Still here, he's in good position.
Hussein back.
Gonna watch the move continue out to the left-hand side. You can see Skip there still following his man.
That's surely
there's a clumsy challenge. So Doc, you kind of winced there seeing that. Talk to me.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know about wings. It's such a difficult conversation to have because I want him to succeed with the money we've paid for him. I need him to step up more. I feel like he sort of cares, but he doesn't really care. I don't see enough from him. Like, it's very much like, as you say, he's making the right runs, but he doesn't look fast. He doesn't look eager. It's just weird. It's just so weird. Like, I'm just not fully convinced by anything he does. The turn we saw earlier was nice. The tracking there is nice. The tackle is not nice. Like, it's just meh. Like, I think that's probably the best way to describe it. It's just meh, but I need more. Let's see if you have some positive highlights from it. Because again, like, you can see there is some fight there, but like, I'm just not fully convinced. Like,
and again,
yeah.
Good battling display.
So what I wanted to show you there is, like, I think my concern with Skip, and I think this is definitely a problem in the Premier League. I'm not so sure if it'd be in the Championship, but it's his physicality right there. That's a mismatch. That's not his fault, but he's done well there. He's actually won the challenge there. There are people who've gone into him, but he's managed to win the ball back. But you saw there with the penalty that what I saw a lot last season with him is that when he's sort of there trying to make the challenge and he loses it, he hasn't got the pace. And so he puts a lot of clumsy challenges in and he gives away a lot of silly yellows. So that's something that concerns me. And yeah, Richard, I think we all know this, right? He's not dominating enough for a £20 million player. But I think this is fair from Ragman. Says Skip for the penalty kick. Skip was better than Winks. And I agree. I think in this game, you saw that. He seemed like he was more positive. So I don't know. I think he will be fine in the championship. He might even be good.
But we need more. Like, I need you to be top end. And maybe he hasn't played so much football. He needs to gas up a bit and get into a few more gears. And if everything just improves 20%, he would be top of the championship. But we'll see how he develops. I understand he gets the minutes because with the money we paid for him, we can't recoup that investment right now. So we have to make good on him. I would be happy if we see a youngster coming in and playing instead of him. But I don't mind him playing because I need more. And that can only happen if he plays, right?
Yeah, see, that's the thing is I actually think you might well see a youngster. I think this is fair. Says if you're going to play Winks or Skip, you need someone aggressive and powerful next to them, as physically they're both very weak. Very much agreed. And not only that, but in this midfield, you also had Lewis Page, who himself is only 16 years old. So you've got no physicality in there. You're really missing a sort of Ndidi type player. So yeah, we've got to find the solution somehow because you can just see with those, we've got those stats before. It could even be Hamza, right? Hamza was playing in the first game. And we'll talk about that in a moment. But anyway, I did mention we were going to do a lot of Jeremy Monga glazing in this particular episode. It's for good reason. So I've got some of his highlights. Let's go through of them. I mean, Duck, just talk to me as I play some of these clips. Again. I mean, here he is, number 66. Good year for England, let me tell you.
He's brilliant, man. Like he is brilliant to constantly beat your man time after time after time after time, and
looking for the route to goal.
He's so eager to play football, man, and he's so good at it as well.
Still Jeremy Monga.
I was playing on Sunday myself with one of my mates, and he was, obviously nowhere near the level, but he was still doing this sort of stuff to me. And let me tell you, it's so annoying, man. You just want to deck someone when they're doing this and make you look like an idiot. So that's moment number one. Let's look at some more of Jeremy Monga. Exactly, it is scary how good he is.
Justin for Monga.
And look, people already know about. Look at this.
And again, like he doesn't give up, even if the first time doesn't go perfectly. Very quickly, boom, boom. It's a great pass into the half space, and obviously, it's Ayew on it though, so it's a bit hard for him to really work with it.
Where he scored from against ZT last week, puts it in this time.
Let's watch that again. I mean, look, the fact is that like, I don't know about you, Duck, but I think that the best player of pre-season by a country mile for Leicester
has been Monga.
Yeah, every single game.
He's been so
ball around him, and he's still. And look, he's got the final product there. He didn't just lose the ball; he gave the ball to Ayew and managed to develop the play. That's what's really, really good. And then what we got here? We've got one more moment, magical moment. Let's see it. What does he do here?
First pre-season game of this camp in Austria.
That one is so like it's like he's a few seconds ahead of the game, right? He realizes that space and he already prepares, and that isn't going to happen too much. The power on that shot, I think that's the first time we've really seen shots from him because he does often go for the pass, or these more placed shots. This was one of the first time I was just pure power, and damn, he could definitely hit a ball.
Camp in Austria, what a touch.
That's such a good first
disgusting.
And see, that's good there. See, there, you're seeing that the first time he did play it to Ayew, but this time round, because we've already done that option, it's to keep it fresh. So he could play the ball into the half space. Ayew's making the run, but he cuts in instead.
Ball glued to his feet. Shoots from distance. Good save.
Good effort. So, I mean, I don't know, maybe we should do a sweepstake, but how many is he going to score this season? I tell you what, as well, if you haven't already seen this episode, Locke's also doing a lot of glazing, but he made this video about future Galactico Jeremy Monga. But I mean, this guy is good.
It is peak glazing. It is peak glazing.
So let's wrap up on that game. We're going to talk about the other game just after this page. So just to sort of show you how the match ended. Look, it's pre-season, so no one really cares about the result. I will say that they don't start, I think, till another week or two after we do. So they were pretty impressive, let's say. You can see possession was pretty even, but they had a lot more shots and a lot more shots on target. And you can see Leicester, we only managed the 3 shots on target. There you saw one was from Monga. So that, I suppose, could be the disappointing. So overall, what did you make of that game before we move on to the next one? And we are going to touch back on both at the end as well.
Very useful friendly. I think it gave us some clear clear knowledge about the players who want to be here, those who will fit the system, the issues that still need to work on. I'll say after 10 days playing against the team who just won the Bundesliga 2, and with the youngsters in particular, all putting in impressive performances, I'm pleased with that. Obviously not pleased with the result, but pleased with the work effort of many of the players and the signs being shown.
Yeah, you took the words right out of my mouth, I think. I mean, that's what I would agree. I think if you're a manager as well in pre-season, what pre-season is really good for is looking at maybe some of your youngsters to see if they could be part of the first team squad this season. And also see with your current players, like try certain people in certain positions and keep an eye out for who you think is going to play in certain positions and which ones not. And we will see on game 1 of the season. And look, I think Marty might take a couple of games to get into it. But him and Xavier Calm should probably already be thinking about, okay, who is good in what positions and what our team's going to be. And I think that is good. And Buzz, I think this is exactly right as well. Koln played the perfect game and system that exposes our system. And that's exactly what we want for preseason, because it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if you lose this game 6-0, 10-0, 100-0, right? You can now see, okay, this is what we need to work on. These are the weaknesses. And, you know, we know that Cifuentes is a smart guy, right? He's not going to look at that and think everything was hunky-dory. So let's just touch on the other game, because he played 2 games in that day. So this was your morning game here. Dark, if you can cast your mind back to that. I'm going to show you a few moments from this one, because I think the quality of this opposition wasn't so good. And I think it's just mainly because you really sort of saw the difference between the first team and the second team, I will say. What did you make of this lineup, though, first of all? Because there are still some players in this one.
Yeah, I think the youngsters who are not quite there to start in the first team, or at the very least of the current opinion, right? They were playing here. Luke Thomas, Will Alves, Jake Evans. I think the latter two have shown good performances and did so this game as well, in my opinion. And then the players who I feel like we're open for offers for most of them. I feel like Hamza Chowdhury probably won't leave. He'll be a player for us. Patson Daka, I don't think we can find a suitor for him. But like, especially around the mid, right? Fars, Ukoli, Sumari, and Didi Bilal. You could argue all of them could be in the main starting 11. I think many of them could. But it's clear, I think Marty was planning that it's not realistic that I have these for my A team when the window closes, even if you likely have many of them available in the first game. And that was the main takeaway from me.
Yep, I would agree with you. A lot of these people, I think, are probably going to be leaving. But I will say what I think is interesting. If you had to ask me which of the midfield 3, Wink, Skip, and Page, or Sumare and Didi and El Canoes, I know which one of those 3 I would choose, because I think, you know, it's a lot stronger, but the rest of the team is a little bit weaker. I'll show you some of the clips from this one. There was some good stuff. So Daka scored twice, but he did also have some bad moments as well. So it's going to feature a lot of Daka. But here,
just to use that outstretched leg to try and deflect the ball wide.
Looks like he's about to do so again. Here's
Thomas on the ball. Oh, okay, we're going to see the second goal here. Sumare.
This is just Bilal's class as well. Well-weighted ball. And this is a very good finish from Daka. Credit due where credit is due, man. That's a good finish. Good finish. His penalty was woeful, but that was a good finish.
Yeah. So you got the fullback raiding up front, the winger there. That's Booba. Great play there, Bilal. Touch of class, and that's a great ball. And that's left-footed. I mean, that is a good goal, you've got to say. And then what else? Yeah, exactly. I deleted it. There was one other moment from that game that was good that we saw a similar chance. I'm not going to show you that. So overall, though, that game, what did you make of it from you can remember from your memory?
A bit slow. You could feel like it was a friendly.
Yeah.
When again, positive pattern for those who wanted to be here. Some players felt a bit half-assed. Mainly many of the olders. I thought like Bilal or Coley did fight and did take it seriously. And the youngsters in both wings, very hard-working. I think Will Alves the better of the 2 on the day. Jake Evans also with some decent moments. And yeah, Will Alves in particular, big takeaways there. The penalty was one as well by Jake Evans from a good play from Will Alves, who looked very eager to be a part of the season.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I think Alves and Evans did themselves no harm there at all. So overall then, you've got both your games. You kind of touched upon it there already, but what's our kind of summary? We've got one more game for pre-season. What do you think so far?
I'm positive with how much of a Marty Cifuentes stamp I can see in the play after this short amount of time. There is still much to be done, and you can feel like it's very early days. But to see the instant impact of the way we want to play and some of the clear tactical philosophy is very nice and very positive. And let's just hope this continues. We clean up some mistakes. We improve the areas we're not as good as. And yeah, then I could be very excited for next season.
Absolutely. So what do I think? So I think, especially in that Koln match, we got badly outplayed. But I said here, I think our style of play and identity, it was on display. The chance creation for me, it was there, but time is needed for players to learn the patterns and the movements. We said that in the previous game as well. How long do I think it will take? It normally takes quite a while, in my opinion. I think maybe you won't even really see us really hit top gear, I think, till you're like maybe 15, 20 games into the season, because you've got to rotate players. You've got to get used to it. The championship is quite quick. I think it won't matter so much, but put it this way, I would expect us to start scoring to begin with, but start scoring a lot more sort of towards the end of the season. Then we might need to change to a plan B as people work us out, something like that. I think our young players looked good, but some of the old guard absolutely didn't. And so, look, I think to kind of summarize it, for me, the context matters. If we were 2 weeks away from playing a Premier League match, I would be absolutely bricking it right now, Duck. I would be terrified. I'd be thinking we're playing this suicidal system. We're going to get caught out. These teams are going to destroy us physically, and we're going to get battered week in, week out, although we might score the occasional goal. But because we're 2 weeks away from a championship match, I'm feeling okay, to be honest with you, because I'm seeing a clear structure of play. I'm seeing what we need to do. I can see us trying out players. And I think overall, compared to last preseason, I feel just looking at the team, I feel we're in a much better place. But I have put here that I think what's a little bit challenging is it's the uncertainties, right? Who's going to stay? Who's going to go? We haven't shipped out anyone yet. We did make a signing. We're going to touch upon him in a minute. But, it's a little bit worrying as to what's going to happen. So speaking of the signing, boom! You can see the such a big deal out of this because it might be the only signing we make for a while. But just what you always wanted, Duck, we signed a 38-year-old goalkeeper as backup, which is Asmir Begovic. But he's a good keeper, very well established, very long professional career. What do you make of this one?
Dream signing for me. I feel like that's the one thing we really needed this window. But in all seriousness, though, smart move. When Mads goes, this will be a number 2. He's very experienced. Let's hope he can transition to a coach role. We still don't have a goalkeeping coach in the squad. So, yeah, I feel like he's smart. He can help a bit, translate some of Marty's ideas to the goalkeepers and explain what a goalkeeper does in his system because he's played under it at QPR. It's a 1-year deal. We don't know about the wages, but they haven't been reported as sky high, so that's good as well. And hopefully he's in, not too much money. Will do well this year if he's forced to play a game. And after this year, he transitions to a goalkeeping coach. I'll be very happy with that then.
Yep, I agree. And I would rather have Begovic playing than Danny Ward, put it that way. So
for sure, 100%.
Decent enough backup player there. Just before we move on to this one then, so a lot of people are asking, I think it's a fair point. So someone's asked here, Chiri's put, would any new signings, even if we do make any, be able to settle into this tactical system quickly? I think a lot would. I think that kind of 4-3-3 style, a lot of the top clubs play it. If we were to sign someone from Barcelona youth team, obviously not the first team, that's the sort of person who would fit in. And, a lot of people have talks about Mark Guyu. Am I pronouncing it correctly? The Chelsea striker,
I don't know,
who came from the youth team. Now, that's exactly how they play in La Masia, is he would be a false 9 and link up the play. So if he's available, he would slot in seamlessly, to be honest with you. I think there's many people you could find. But we'll be making these signings. Where do you think, coming into the season right now, Doug, where do you think we're short? Where would you like to see us strengthen? Or do we need to strengthen at all? I mean, a lot of these young players have quite well.
It's still just that one striker I really need. I feel like I'm pretty confident in every other area if there is no outgoings. If a lot of outgoings happen, we sell Sumare and Didi. I feel like we need one more in central midfield as a CDM. So again, when we plug the holes that we ourselves create by getting rid of Deadwood, and then allow the youth to get minutes. I think Lewis Page didn't look out of place. Obviously had a few mistakes, but hardworking, good. Badia Luko, a lot of potential in this kid to play the fullback role in either the left-hand side or right-hand side. McAteer looks positive. You're from the academy as well. Stalasic, great save as well in that game. And Monka, all from the academy, all look good in that game. So I'm positive. I'm intrigued to see the season progress, not just with the players, how they develop, but the system as well under Marty Cifuentes.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm kind of torn upon this one. I'm not so sure we do need a striker. I've been saying that for a while. I think that's just the obvious one to think of. But both our strikers have scored 2 goals already in pre-season. They're linking up the play. We've got a third player that's scoring 2 goals that could maybe play in that position. I don't think it's the most important one we have to do immediately. I would say...
Which would yours be then?
Say it again.
Which would yours be? Like, if you could buy one player right now to the squad, Like,
yeah,
from what
that's what
position
I'm
would it be?
thinking. And I guess I'm just assuming that Bilal's going to go. So I kind of agree with Buzz here that if Bilal goes, then who is that attacking midfield? Because if that is our strongest team against Köln, then if you're looking at that midfield three of Skip, Winks, and Lewis Page, Page, I want to see him play, but he's too young to play the entire season like
Yeah.
that. Winks and Skip is just, that doesn't make you feel happy. You've got to think of some kind of solution. I think, Josh Brown, who on a free's been talks about, he would, 17 goals last season. That would be perfect. Obviously, if he can play, you'd have Bilal in there, right? You'd have probably Bilal, Winks, and Page or someone else. I don't know. That Daniel's put here, neither reliable for a season. So I think you need some kind of hybrid in there, like to be honest, if he was staying with us, Buba Samari would probably be fine for the championship. But I don't think
And that's why I said as well, if we sell Buba Samari or Ndidi, I feel like we need one more in there. Yeah. But we have to sell one of them first. Like if we don't sell anyone, I don't mind having Samari and Ndidi in the championship. So it is, if that hole opens up, gladly buy a new player there. I do totally agree with you.
Yeah. Do you think Marty could look at Josh King, striker from the academy, who is very good at linking up play with Monga? It's possible, I suppose. I'll be honest, I don't think we will do it right away, but he might start getting like cup games and might be teased in. But I think Jake Evans is more likely to play that way. Like Evans has been played in quite a few roles, right? On both wings and as a striker. I think he might be the impact option there to kind of keep an eye on. Anyway, we got one more game of preseason left. It's this Sunday, 3 o'clock actually BST, 2 o'clock GMT. It's Leicester against Fiorentina. Fiorentina, great team in the past. I think they got David De Gea in their side right now. I think Stefano Pioli, has he taken over Fiorentina? I believe he has. So that's a pretty interesting take. He won the title with AC Milan, then lost and got sacked, and I think he went to Saudi for a bit. So I'm really looking forward to that. They will be a big step up. I would expect us to, because it's a home match, maybe a defeat's being a bit harsh, but I don't see us winning it. Put it this way. I think this is a much better team.
I think it will.
Yeah, you go. I didn't know this. Got Dzeko, is that Moise Keane? Yeah, Koshpo. So a lot of good players there. That's something they've got to look out for. But that's it. But otherwise, I think coming to the season, the way that I'm feeling is this is the man that brought to you the flag when I was waving it for Steve Cooper being sacked. I brought to you the turtleneck when Ruud van Nistelrooy was appointed. And I've got one more for you, Duck. You haven't seen this yet. So as we've got Marty, this is my I look like some old woman, but this is my bullfighting hat for the bullfighter Marty. I'll be wearing this, not with my headphones on. Hopefully we see that quite a few times this season. Bit of underlay. That's my prediction. Get the blue tinted hat in the stores. I'll leave it there. Thank you for joining us, everyone. Tune in tomorrow for Fox's Den. I think we're going to be talking about championship predictions. We're really close to the season right now. It starts in 2 weeks, not this Sunday, but the Sunday afterwards. So it's going to be coming up on us quite quickly. Any last words from you, Duck, before we go?
No. Let's just look forward to the season. Keep faith. This was just 10 days of Marty Ball. So a lot more to come. And I feel like we're in for a good season, in particular with the academy, because goddamn, they've got talent.
Yeah, well, that better not be in my head when we're 2-0 down to Sheffield Wednesday. Let's hope that doesn't happen. Take care, everyone. Thank you for joining Blue Tinted Glasses, and we'll see you tomorrow. Bye-bye.
Massive thank you to today's sponsor, Match Bingo. Over 200 grand has been paid out to players so far by taking sports betting, football, and bingo and combining them into one amazing app. Make sure to get your bingo card for any Leicester City game in the upcoming season. Click that link in the description or via the QR code on screen.